Rather lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We are back live and we're going to be diving into a couple of footballing stories, a lot of news around Arsenal. We take on FC Zurich as well in the Europa League. In the Europa League opener, so that is also another big story. But our players of the month have also been nominated, so we'll talk about that. I think the shouts are really interesting. William Saliba is part of the nominees of Man of the Month. I think Gabriel Martinelli as well, Gabriel Jesus as well, and Martin Odegaard. Look, I think it was a quite tight one to decide on who gets into that, on who gets into a player of the month, because I think in August, many of our players really played very, very well. So, but according to the Arsenal website, according to Arsenal, they've gone with 4 candidates. William Saliba, who I think is well deserved. They've gone with Gabriel Martinelli, who I think is also well deserved. 3 goals in the month of August. Martin Odegaard, 3 goals in the month of August as well, and Gabriel Jesus, new signing as well, who has had a very good start to life, at Arsenal. Thomas Tuchel has also been sacked. That is worth a mention. I mean, would you take him at Arsenal? He's one guy that I would really love to see probably in another big job. I don't know if Arsenal could decide to bring him in if things turned on Mikel Arteta. But he's one guy that I really respect. I really respect Thomas Tuchel. So, look, he's been sacked by Chelsea today. We will talk about that just in a minute. And then our January transfer priorities as injuries continue to flood in on this Arsenal side, as our squad continues to be eaten up by injuries. When you talk about January, it's still very, very far away. I think it's around three good months away. For us to think about January, you have October, you have November and December. Then you have January to just come and do a couple of panel beatings. Not very many signings do happen in January, but for me, this is going to be a very serious January window for Arsenal. If we want to do anything in the league, in the Europa League, this is going to be a very serious window for Arsenal. But anyway, welcome back to the stream. Long time without us having these usual discussions, but they're back and we'll be having lots and lots of them. Now let's start off with the player of the month. That has been the word that we know happens every end of the month. This August, we have come up with 4 nominees according to Arsenal for player of the month. Like I said, William Saliba is in there. Gabriel Martinelli is in there. Gabriel Jesus in there as well, and Martin Odegaard. So who deserves it? I think that's the big question that I will ask you lads on the stream. Who deserves player of the month? Who would you give it to? I'm really surprised that Granit Xhaka is not on the list. I thought his month was absolutely fantastic. I'm really surprised that Ben White is not in there as well. I think I thought Ben White playing out of position at right back and doing very, very well would actually give him some sort of advantage over these other players that have been playing in their natural positions. But Ben White has actually not made it. So those are the only 2 shouts that I would go. Why isn't he part of the team? They played almost every minute. They played almost every game. They've started in every game and they've been absolutely fantastic. And for Xhaka, by the way, I would give it to Granit Xhaka for 1 or 2 reasons. I don't think Xhaka is going to be nominated as in Arsenal Player of the Month for so many times. This was his opportunity. Clearly, I would have included him. Yes, he's only scored 1 goal in this month, and probably I don't know whether he has as many assists as I anticipate in August, but his role in the team has been absolutely very, very key for the first 5 games we played, and he's been. You could even argue that he's been one of the players that have been really important offensively and defensively. And the lack of Thomas Partey and Mohamed Elneny in the Aston Villa game, I thought it really brought in why Xhaka should start for Mikel Arteta's teams why Xhaka starts for Mikel Arteta's teams, because Arteta always loves players that are always going to be hardworking, giving him all their best and all that. So Xhaka didn't get a shout, and Ben White didn't get a shout as well, but we've given them a shout here on Cossy's Arsenal podcast. Now, let's dive into the 4 names that have been fronted and see who deserves man of the match. Let's start off with William Saliba. Now, I remember saying before the Manchester United game that William Saliba currently is one of the best defenders in the world, best defenders in Europe. And I'm not going to change my mind because he made a few mistakes in the Manchester United game. I'm not going to change my mind because he was a little bit sloppy in the United game. I think his start to life in London, his start to life in the Premier League has been absolutely exquisite. There are not so many players that are going to have such a start. There are not so many players that are going to have such a beginning to life in the Premier League, and he deserves a lot of credit. If anyone wishes not to give him the respect he deserves and the kind of acknowledgement he deserves, then you're an absolute fool. This boy, for me, guys, has proven every critique wrong, including me myself, because I remember myself saying last campaign that why is he talking so much? Just sell him to Marseille. And I really pity myself for having said those words. I was absolutely lost. You cannot lose such a player. You cannot afford to lose a player like to lose a player like William Saliba. So if he's given Player of the Month in August, I will agree. I will agree with whoever votes, because it's one vote at the end of the day. I don't know who I'm going to vote for yet, but I mean, it will depend on you, on who you guys decide. I think we should decide on one person as Cossy's Arsenal podcast, then go and vote for that one person. But Saliba, guys, deserves a big mention, deserves a very, very big shout out. He's a very, very big name. He's a very good guy. Defensively solid. I thought the goal against Bournemouth was a very, very good goal. It's about consistency now. If you can keep these performances coming, if you can keep on playing at such a high level, he's a young player. He's just gonna get better. Even if he misses out on the player of the month in August, I'm still very, very confident. He's one of the players that will pick up player of the month in any of the other months to come. So William Saliba deserves a shout. I think whoever nominated him, well deserved. Now the second player is Martin Odegaard, captain, fantastic. With Martin Odegaard, I don't know, but whatever he's done in this Arsenal side feels like, yeah, that is good, but that is what you're supposed to do. And this is where we get it wrong. This is where we are absolutely wrong about Martin Odegaard, because there's so many players that have the same responsibility and will actually never will never give you those good performances. I think that this is where Martin Odegaard doesn't get the respect he actually deserves. The game against Fulham, in my opinion, if he doesn't rate right, and I really loved it. The game against Aston Villa as well, I thought it was very, very good, but the Bournemouth performance was outstanding, and the Leicester City performance was outstanding. Look, I would struggle personally. I would really, really struggle to keep him out of my side. I think I would be very, very unfair if I said Martin Odegaard doesn't deserve to be player of the month August. So I think I will front his name, Martin Odegaard, as well. If you guys would be very, very kind to vote for him on the Arsenal website, I think he deserves it. He really deserves it. There is no other player in this Arsenal side that has just made me so happy with the change he has actually had from last season to this season. I think the same Odegaard with the same flair, with the same abilities, but this time an Odegaard who's willing to take the risks, an Odegaard who's brave, an Odegaard who's courageous, and the fact that he's just become Arsenal captain. Okay, he was named Arsenal captain at the beginning of the season. and that has actually not affected negatively affected how he's handling himself, and how he's performing on the pitch. It's actually making him perform better. I think Odegaard, if anyone voted for Odegaard player of the month August, I would definitely agree with them. I don't think that would be a bad shout as well. Now, Gabriel Martinelli is named number things, and the first thing he improved a lot. It's either courtesy of Mikel Arteta or courtesy of Gabriel Jesus. I'm not really sure, but he has really improved a lot as a player. And that is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a Gabriel Martinelli that is happy, playing with a happy face, but also a player who's very, very happy on the ball, happy to come forward, create chances, score goals, and do all those beautiful things. I think it's so unlucky that one of his best goals that really describes the kind of player he is, he scored against Man United, was actually ruled out. But I don't think that really means anything for me. That really doesn't mean anything for Gabriel Martinelli. Very, very strong performance, very good performances in August. So my player of the month, if I'm going to vote on the Arsenal website after this stream, and it's going to be Gabriel Martinelli. I think he deserves it. I think he really deserves it. He scored Arsenal's first goal of the campaign. He won us points against Fulham, brought in a very good corner. He won us points against Aston Villa as well. And he also won points for us in the Leicester City game, because Leicester was starting to believe we can do it. We can we can get closer to this Arsenal side. And then he just took the game so far away from them. So for me, anyone who goes with Gabriel Martinelli is on my team. Martinelli is my player of the month, in August. But of course, another shout is Gabriel Jesus. What a start to life in London. We've already talked about it. We've already talked about Arsenal having that player up front that understands what Mikel Arteta is trying to do. That player up front that is that understands the beauty of Mikel Arteta's system. And for me, Gabriel Jesus is the best player at that. Hold up play, he's fantastic. You think about hold up play, he's absolutely fantastic. You think about making those runs in behind, he's fantastic. You think about just dropping into the midfield and becoming part of the team, part of the built-up team. He's absolutely fantastic. You think about him allowing Martinelli and Saka get on the ball better, be better players. He's also absolutely doing it very, very well. So I think Jesus deserves a shout. I'll give my player of the month to Gabriel Martinelli. But anyone who goes for any of the other options that Arsenal have decided to go for, it's a wonderful shout. It's absolutely a very, very, very wonderful shout. So now let's get to the topic that I wanted to discuss in this video, and that is our January transfer priorities. Now, I've looked into the squad news. I've looked at the team news. Who is available for the FC Zurich game? Who is not available? And do that. And I decided we need to talk about what should happen with this squad in January, whether Thomas Partey and Mohamed Elneny come back or not. Now, I don't want to say Arsenal are in a crisis or are in an injury crisis. I think it would be too early to talk about Arsenal in an injury crisis. It would be also a kind of panic, and I don't want us to be panicking this early. But this is what I want to say. With Thomas Partey now unreliable, with Mohamed Elneny sidelined for months, that is according to Mikel Arteta, Partey out for weeks, and Mohamed Elneny is sidelined for months. There needs to be done. There needs to be something done in January. And I know I'm talking about January very, very far away, but our options and our priorities have just made themselves very clear. Our options, our priorities in January have just made themselves very, very clear. Look, let's talk about the midfield. if Martin Odegaard picks up an injury right now, and I said this when we were talking about the Man United preview, and I said Arsenal are one injury away, one important injury away from struggling. And for me, that is either Gabriel Jesus or Martin Odegaard. That, any of those two injuries could actually cost us our season. So, I mean, what do you do? Do you go and buy another Odegaard in January? Probably yes, probably no. I don't think Arsenal will buy another number 10 with Fabio Vieira now. So what we have to do is make sure that the positions that are lacking are actually filled in January. Now, there's so many positions lacking in this team. I thought about a left-sided center back. I thought about a backup right back that is good enough. I thought about a defensive midfielder. I thought about a winger as well. But the two positions that Arsenal should be dealing with in January, we should deal with the defensive midfielder. That is something we cannot afford to throw away. That is a position we cannot afford to throw away. Then we should get in a winger. And these are my two reasons. With the defensive midfield, it is clear. It is absolutely clear. It will be shocking. I will be very, very shocked if Arsenal decide not to go for a defensive midfielder in January, yet we fail to get one through the door on deadline day. I would be very, very shocked. And I don't think Arsenal will fail to do that. The question, who do we go for? Danilo or Douglas Luiz? I think Luiz will be an easier one, right? Because according to The Athletic, they've said Arsenal didn't go for Yuri Tillemans because they felt like, he has physical problems. So they didn't trust they don't trust his physical part of the game. And that's why they decided against signing him. I don't have a problem with that. And that person better be good. Because I've looked at the other part of our the second part of our fixtures. We play Tottenham at the Emirates Stadium in the first round. We play Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium in the first round as well. And I think Manchester City at the Emirates Stadium play Liverpool at the Anfield, Tottenham at the White Hart Lane, and Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. We don't have the squad depth to take us that far. We agree. We've already agreed on that. Arsenal do not have the squad depth to take us to those heights, those levels where every now and then you're going to field the same 11 with the same quality, and that's why I think January for us is not going to be it's not going to be any other window. It's going to be a window of priorities. If Martinelli picked up an injury right now, because for me, however much Smith Rowe is good at playing out wide, he doesn't offer what Saka offers. He doesn't offer what Gabriel Martinelli offers. So at the end of the day, if Martinelli or Saka picked up an injury right now, we would struggle. And I'm really amused by the fact that we didn't get in a right winger or left winger in the summer, and we didn't get in a midfielder. Those were our two priorities. One day, two forwards and a central midfielder. Look, I think we didn't sign our priorities, honestly. Because according to The Athletic, David Ornstein, our priorities were a central midfielder, two forwards. That was one to release, right? So there is a deficiency there, and then other positions as well in other positions in that team as well, just like I mentioned. So January is time for us to act. It's kind of very similar to what happened in January this year. We were very close to going back to the Champions League. All we had to do, go to the market and bring in one or two lame players. It didn't matter what quality the players would be. all we wanted getting some players just to add to the squad depth, and we absolutely failed at that. We definitely failed at that. If anyone look, if anyone tells you Arsenal did well in that January transfer window, they're absolutely mad. But anyway, my internet is jumping on and off. I don't know the problem. I'm gonna cut this stream off, but we'll be back tomorrow probably speaking more of the Arsenal transfers and the news. We'll talk about the FC Zurich game because I think that one really matters. But my internet is kind of very bad. I'll see you soon. I'll speak to you tomorrow.